Hey, Danny.
Hey,
I don't know
Dean.
why I started laughing there. I just couldn't help it.
Thanks for
Uh,
having me.
okay, so Danny, you're very welcome. Tell folks a little bit about you, and then I have a very big, wide-ranging question that I want you to tackle.
Awesome. Well, my name is Danny Epstein. I am the founder of Stratify, which is an FCMO firm. And
Mhm.
I'm also the founder of RST, which is a full service digital marketing company.
All right, that's easy. In that case, given that you're both on the agency side and on the engagement side, professional CMOs and so on, you're talking to a lot of clients and potential clients. So this question is probably going to be easier for you than most, right? Um, um, Are you seeing any, or what are the biggest shifts you're seeing in sort of what companies are prioritizing and funding in their marketing like these days?
Well, there's a technological revolution going on. We're just at the early stages of it. So there's a big rush into automations, and AI seems to be popping its head up everywhere. And it's fascinating to me just how quickly things are changing when it comes to these platforms.
Such as,
Such as,
yeah,
well, today we can custom build a platform that was only available to very few marketers just a couple of years ago.
right.
You
People
know,
with development, even teams or that kind of stuff. Yeah.
exactly, and we can automate just about everything. Um, the new generations of AI are just fascinating. We just recently did a project with a CEO where the guy had hundreds of YouTube videos. And
Right.
we put all the videos into the AI and we trained it up. And when we revealed it to the CEO said that it does a better job of answering his questions than he could himself. So it's remarkable. I'm
Yeah.
not by any means suggesting that everybody needs to rush into AI, but it's just it is a good solution
Right.
for those who could use it.
Yeah. And new things are possible that, I don't mean just like new things are possible with any tech, right? Like we just couldn't do that before. Now we can. But really, like
Right.
most people see the first gains in something that used to be very time consuming or very labor intensive and suddenly now are not. Like it is only a matter of time if it hasn't been done already. This is episode 128, I think, I said, of this podcast, right? 120, 129. And it's only a matter of time where anyone who wanted to find a fractional CMO and get an idea of what they do and what their specialty is could just point an AI at this YouTube channel and say, here, find me 3 fractional CMOs who work with, B2B SaaS or fintech or healthcare or oil and gas or whatever, right? And
It's
it'll like
true.
spit back and say like, and what are their positions on this or what do they tend to focus on? And it'll just spit it back. And here's the link with the timestamp. Click right here, drop you right into the video and you've got it. I haven't done it yet, but someone's going to do it, not just for this one, but for other channels. It just makes
No,
sense.
you're absolutely right, and
Yeah.
it's just amazing. When I first started doing FCMO work, people didn't even know what an FCMO was, and today
Yeah.
it's now people are beginning to understand what a fractional chief marketing officer does.
Okay. So here's my next question. It has to do with actually being a fractional CMO, right?
Sure.
So has the process for finding clients changed as a fractional CMO, right? Over the last year or so, or do you think it's about to change? For fractional CMOs or even marketing consultants.
Well, I can only speak for myself and my own experiences.
Yeah.
So I've been doing marketing now for so many years. I mean, I'd hate to admit it, but the truth is that I first started ranking websites when AOL was the thing. so I have a lot of experience at this, and I've been in many different. I've worn many different hats over the years. So this is the Raleigh SEO team is my third marketing agency.
Mm-hmm.
So basically now I have my clients coming to me. So it's mostly word of mouth. And
Right.
I can't take everybody on. So when we have clients that aren't ready for us, I'll help them, I'll work with them, and I'll help them to position themselves to be ready for a FCMO. And then I'll put my team on them and we'll help get them to the position they need to be. So for me, in my world, it's really I'm very selective with who I work with because I just have so much time, and I'm not working to live.
Right.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it. I just turned down a client um, I won't say their name or anything, and they were sort of like in my business. I'm normally brought in by fractional CMOs to work with their clients. So in my business, we would call people like you the client, and your clients are called our end clients. And so we
Hmm.
might work with one fractional CMO, and over the course of 2 years, that ends up being multiple end clients because they're always finding clients and so on. And um, sometimes you just like turn clients away. This one was a client of a fractional CMO, and like the fractional CMO sort of moved on, and they wanted to. This is sort of a lesson that I got from a weird source. And they wanted an NDA signed. Now, it's not uncommon for me to sign NDAs, sign lots of NDAs, been a ghostwriter actually, lots of NDAs, right?
Right.
But the language in this NDA was crazy.
Okay.
Like it was extremely lopsided. And I looked at it and I thought about it for a while and I said, you know what? I'm going to just like, let's just finish out the current project we have. There's a tiny bit of work left and
Right.
let's just like end it there. And I was telling my sort of, I have a peer that we go back and forth with in trade war stores. And he said, like, the odds of them ever needing to invoke the NDA are pretty low. And I said, that may be true, but a company that's willing, a company that tries to in a contract is probably a company you don't want to be doing new business with regardless. That's kind of their
Right.
culture. And they can put anything they want in their NDA, it's their right. But, someone who would want to try to do this or say we could do it is probably not someone who's going to like be easygoing or
Right.
fun to work with. It's
Right.
good. So I just said, you know what? There's like loads of people. Just, thanks very much. Have a nice day. All right. So let's talk about fractional CMOs from the other end then. And that is
Sure.
like the newer ones. Okay. So imagine that uh, three people that you've known for a while, and they were like full-time, fully employed, regular CMOs, right? And they said like, hey, Danny, come talk to us and sit with us at this table in Panera. You go to a Panera. I assume they have Panera where you live. Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Not necessarily. My kids go to college, and the first time I ever went to that town, sort of like to pick them up, stuff, and like I go on the app to find Panera. There's not a Panera within 250 miles, and they're in Ohio. It's not like they're in like the middle of nowhere, right? But so let's say, and they say, so you sit down and say, hey, so it turns out we thought about it all sort of separately, and then we realized when we were talking, the three of us, that we wanted to go out on our own. So last week we all became fractional CMOs. And first of all, you're going, oh wow, okay, really? I know your reaction. And then and so like the question that they come up is, so Danny, if like we're all brand new fractional CMOs, like single shingle kind of folks, right? What do you think we're going to be surprised by as we move
Well,
out on this journey?
I think that if you're just starting out, especially if you're coming from a corporate environment, if you're coming from the corporate world and you think you're going to just hang your shingle
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden people are going to be flocking to you, that's just not really realistic. It's going to take years to get to that point. And I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of the need to be entrepreneurial when you're a FCMO.
hmm
You don't have the same comfort creatures that you would have in a corporate environment. Um, I actually get hired by a lot of CMOs, but not in the corporate world, more in law firms, medical
hmm
practices, and we do home services a lot. Um, so I work with CMOs all the time. They just need the expertise that FCMO can bring to them that they may not have. They may be in a position of being a CMO, but the way they got there is different than the path that a good FCMO takes. Because a good fractional CMO should have huge experience in a
right.
lot of different areas, and it shouldn't just be in marketing. Like I've been the CEO of companies before. I've been involved in startups. I've been involved in venture capitalists. So I have a lot of different experiences. I've also just had the good fortune of being able to manage some major brands and work for some of the most recognizable brands in the world. Um, that's just that's just experience that not everybody has the opportunity to capitalize on. So when they get a guy like me, it's great. So that's why a lot of times CMOs will say, "Hey, Why don't you come on in and we'll sign a contract? I'll help them out. I'll get them on track, and they'll take it from there. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, so it leads me to two follow-up questions. One, what do you think most clients don't understand about hiring a fractional CMO? You
That's a
are, by
great
the
question.
way, out of almost over 200 guests, you're the only person I've ever asked about that. I don't know why. Seems like a good question, but I've never come up with it before.
Give it to
What
me
do you
one
think
more
most
time.
clients don't understand about hiring a fractional CMO?
Okay, what most clients don't understand. Okay, that's a really good question. Um, I'm just thinking about a law firm that we work with now. Um, when I first started working with them, it was about a year and a half ago, and I was hired by the CMO of the firm, and some of the partners. I guess they just assumed that I was going to constantly be trying to sell them something different.
Yeah.
So there wasn't trust there. And my goal is, if I agree to work with you, my goal is to meet and exceed expectations whenever humanly possible. So I do this because I feel great when I make a difference in people's lives.
Mhm.
And this is something that can really make a difference in people's lives. Somebody asked me the other day, they say, is marketing your passion? Is that something that you love to do? And they were surprised when I said, yeah. And they said, well, how can it be? Because I think a lot of people think of marketing. There's a lot of bad marketers out there. We all know that, right, Dean? There's a lot of really bad marketers out there. But when you're making differences in the lives of people, right? You're taking a company, in this particular case, the law firm, we ranked them in the map pack in a major metropolitan city. We went up against law firms that were 4 times the size of them,
Mhm.
and we just smoked them. And as a result, the practice just exploded. It just doubled. Now they're opening up new offices, and they're sending me presents, and they love me. So most people don't understand that when you're working with the FCMO, that it could be a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Don't hire somebody that you don't trust. Vet them first. There's ways to vet people. You
Yeah.
know if somebody's being authentic with you or not. And if you find somebody who's a good match, go for it, because the places that they can take you could just be life-changing.
What do you think most clients don't understand about marketing?
I think most clients don't understand. Well, first of all, I'd have to start with budget. So I think a lot of people don't have realistic expectations.
Right.
Um, and they don't really understand what marketing is. So, the sections of marketing, I like to position clients as local market leaders. So I'm doing a lot of local market work with medical practices and with law firms. In order to be a local market leader, you have to have certain boxes checked off. You could be wasting a ton of money in paid advertising and SEO optimization, but your reputation is hurting.
Right.
If you don't fix that reputation first, all you're doing is pouring money into a leaky bucket. So instead of pouring more money into a leaky bucket, the best thing to do is start plugging up some of those holes. So there's the same tools, just like on a construction site. You can have the same tools on a construction site, but every construction site's going to have a different set of blueprints. Well, the same thing with marketing. You should have a really good strategic plan. So you should be starting with goals, objectives, and then a strategic plan. And then what you need to do is you need to execute on all of the cylinders. So you need to budget realistically. If you have more business coming in than you can handle, obviously you want this. You do appreciate the value of marketing because you have more business coming in than you can handle.
Yeah.
But if you don't, if you think that you're going to spend 2% on gross and you're going to double and triple your business, that's just not realistic. So
Yeah.
set realistic expectations, budgets, and then make sure you have all the different pieces of the puzzle in place.
Do you think there are any marketing channels or for your clients, right? Not, because everything's popular with somebody. Among your clients and the businesses that you help, are there any channels or platforms or tools that you think are just like criminally underrated?
Oh my gosh, yes, especially today. Things are changing so
Yeah.
drastically. We've never seen so many algorithm changes in Google than
Hmm.
we have in this last period of time. Um, Combinations of different platforms doing drops in multiple platforms at the same time are ranking. I mean, these things are happening. Sites like Reddit, sites like LinkedIn.
Right.
When you have YouTube videos and posts on LinkedIn and you're putting out, a bunch of feelers, the AIs are picking up on it and they're looking at it, and it's a good way to get noticed. And it always helps just to, once you start ranking. So if you start ranking on certain keywords and certain phrases,
Mm-hmm.
you get more attention.
All right. Let me ask you. Now, you're talking to a lot of companies. I talk to a lot of companies. All the fractional CMOs that I work with are talking to a lot of companies, right? And I'm going to talk about hiring marketing people, like staffers. But before we get to that, right? Um, Budgets are tighter right now for marketing,
No
generally
question
speaking,
about it.
right?
Yes.
And so, with the tighter budgets, do you think, are there any sort of marketing tactics or strategies that are delivering better now in say 2025 than or that companies are focusing on?
Um, I just want to get clarity on the question. So we were talking about bringing people in house.
All right, let's do this then. No, that's another question. We'll
Okay.
get to the in-house people in a second, right? But
Okay.
you're telling your clients, okay, they said to you like, hey, like we have to like scale back. We just have to, right, on our marketing budget. We have to tighten it a bit. You look at that and you think, okay, for what you guys try to do, which is your client base, right? Um, and you can answer this both ways. Like, are there things that
Sure.
they should deprioritize when budgets get tighter, or are there things that they should prioritize when budgets get tighter?
Well, Dean, because the answer is a puzzle to begin with, right? So you
Yes.
have certain things that you need to have in
This is why
place, right? So
my part of the job is so enjoyable and your part of the job's not quite so enjoyable because I only have to ask the questions. I never need to worry about the answer.
it really depends on what we're trying to accomplish, and it
Sure.
really depends on the niche that we're in. A lot of it depends on the locations that we're serving, and then a lot of it depends on the actual organization itself. Um, so there are definitely ways that you could be wasting a lot of money. Sending out 5 Facebook posts a day is probably not something that you really want to be doing today. The traditional SMMA model is suspect to me anyway. And I think I don't want to speak disparagingly against anybody, but have you ever heard the term dirty dinosaur agencies?
No.
Well, agencies that grew fast inherently have layers of problems that come into the system. Now,
Sure.
this is my third marketing agency, so I've done this twice before. When I put this agency together, I said, I don't want that to happen again. I don't want to have interns coming in and young salespeople coming in and they're just promising the world. And they're over promising and under delivering. And then you have just like layers of staff of people who are unhappy. You have SEOs who are like, are you kidding me? I can't do that. I can't possibly rank you in the map pack in 3 months. That's a dirty dinosaur. That's the problem with marketing today, is that so many people are going to these so-called experts, but just really not getting the return on investment that they need to get from their marketing budget. So that's the biggest problem. There's so much waste. I hate to say it, but the truth is there's so much waste for so many companies when it comes to marketing that you really need to take a strategic look on an individual basis and then dial in what you need to dial in.
Um,
Because
I think,
Dean, I'm sorry, let me just finish. Because
yeah, go ahead.
ultimately, it really comes up to what the competition is doing. Because that's really what you have to do. You have to outdo your competition.
Hmm. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, what companies learn, clients learn, and it's unfortunate that they have to learn this lesson. But for a lot of the agencies that they work with, they can go and say, hey, we're reducing by 5%. And like somehow, the marketing reach doesn't seem to drop by 5%, because there was a lot of waste and slack in the system in the first place.
Right.
And
Right.
unfortunately, we're like, the inefficiency is teaching people that they can like ratchet down and ratchet down until they get to a point where ratcheting down, seems like the logical thing to do, and they reach that point, and right, and that's an
Right.
inflection point, kind of breaks. If you're trying to find, and this must happen from time to time, like companies, like they
Mhm.
want to hire a new director, they want to hire a new staffer, they want to hire a new person on social media, right? It's not necessarily a service that you're a role you're going to fill in, or your company's going to fill at their company, right? But they said, like, what are we doing right now? So like we talked earlier, there are a lot of like bad marketers. There are also just like a lot of marketers, period, right now looking for jobs.
Right.
A lot,
Right.
right? What are, a company that wants to find, their next staffer, their next in-house people, right? What are some of the challenges that they're going to face as they go out into that labor market?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people face is not being able to have the intelligent conversation with the person that they're hiring, not
Mm-hmm.
having a real understanding, and being able to be misled with technobabble. Um, so it helps to get educated as much as you can. For instance, let's just take something that's a little bit more technical. Let's talk about saying that you're going to add an SEO. Before you start interviewing SEOs, get a handle on what SEO really is, and then find out what are the really bad practices of SEO and that you don't want, and then ask them questions about it while you're
Right.
interviewing them, because you need to have somebody that you can trust. So when you're working with an SEO, you really want somebody who's very diligent, very detail oriented. The type of guy who loves just to get in and loves that challenge of being able to handle all of the technical aspects. He might not be the greatest people person. He's not a sales guy. He's not going to, be out there putting together your marketing program. But
Right. Well, I
you know,
mean, no different than, hiring a staffer in a finance department when you don't have anything to do with finance.
exactly.
Possibly more dangerous than hiring a
Right.
bad marketing person, hiring a bad finance person. Do you think, you're working across multiple industries these days? Are there any industries that you think are growing or really poised for growth in like 2025, 2026, and any that are you think are going to sort of stay static or maybe even shrink a little?
Well, with the
From a
law
marketer's
firms,
point of view, I mean.
um, there's certain niches that are just getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
We do a bunch of work in the home care niche with seniors. That's just getting stronger and stronger. Um, Part of it's inflationary too. So you have a couple of different things going on. You have the incredibly fast growing demographic of the baby boomers retiring. So you have that factor, and that's going to last until
Right.
like 33, 34. Then it's going to start to unwind. But right now you have this incredible tidal wave. And the other thing is that if you take a look at home care agencies, they might have been charging, $17 to $19 in 2019 per hour of care, but
Mhm.
now they're charging 25.
Hmm.
So there's a lot more money going around. So that industry is just exploding. And then also, there's no shortage of work for good law firms,
Yeah.
and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. Even if the economy was to fall apart, family lawyers are going to be busy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Divorce isn't going anywhere, you don't think?
divorce isn't going anywhere. Actually, it gets worse, right?
Yeah.
When economic times
Stress.
get right,
Yeah.
they get busier.
Put strain on it. Okay. So I want to wrap up with a couple of questions here. One,
Sure.
imagine that uh, uh, we're in an elevator together. We've only got a few seconds, but I realize that I'm next to an expert. So, and I'm trying to like sort of start something, right? I've been brought in as the head of marketing for my company, and I'm looking. And obviously, there's always a mix of in-house and outsourced, right? And I'm looking for like help. And I say like, hey, don't talk to me about like what you guys do, but talk to me about what's in marketing, what's sort of underrated or overlooked right now. Like I'm looking for an advantage. What's an area? that let's say it's law firms, right? What's an area that I could, or a place or a channel that I could be using that my competitors are probably not, where I could have some kind of advantage?
Well, the truth is, it's massive drops of your messaging. It's not just one platform. It's
Right.
getting it out on a whole bunch of platforms at once. That is really what's working today. Um, First of all, you have to have your message dialed in. You have to have your demographic dialed in. You have to have a very compelling offer, and your call to action has to be strong. And I don't care what you do, if you don't have a great offer and a good call to action, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
So it's all in your offer, but it's getting your offer out there that's really the most important thing.
All
As
right.
many
That
channels
leads
as
me.
possible.
That leads me to the next question then, which is like, what do you think as you talk to clients and as you talk to, like, what do you think clients don't understand about talking to their prospects?
You got to build trust. You don't come out of the gate swinging. Um, there's so many marketers out there that are just trying to shove product and services down people's throats that people just today in 2024, just they going into 2025, have their guard up. So what you want to do is you want to let them know that you can trust them, give them a compelling reason to contact you, give them value, provide value up front.
Right.
Just treat your customers. Your customers are the goose that laid the golden egg. You could go in there and you could cut the goose open and get the one egg, but it's just better to have that goose lay eggs every single day. So nurture your customers, nurture your client base. That your email list is one of the most valuable things you could ever have. And that's
Yeah.
something else. You know what, Dean? I'm sorry, but people underestimate it all the time. It's your email list could be a gold mine if it's used the right way. So you're talking about people you've already done business with. Well, email marketing is something that really helps.
Yeah. My email list is my gold mine. No question. Right. I started it in, I always had a list, but I didn't start, even I, all right, someone who's gotten 50 plus million emails opened for other clients, but sort of eat your own dog food, like do your own stuff, right? We're all guilty of this, right? We don't, even marketers don't put as much into their own marketing as they put into their clients' marketing,
It's a
right?
fact. It's a
That's
fact.
a fact. Oh. And so I only started regularly, A, growing my list, and B, emailing to my list weekly in January. Right. By June, I had made as much money in my business as I had in the entire previous year. I even had like a 2-minute little conversation with myself saying, should I just stop working for the rest of the year? I'm done. Right? Turns out, and you won't be surprised by this, Danny, the more money coming in, the suddenly life throws more needs for money at you, like
No
from your
question
kids.
about it.
And this is the way it works, right? It never stops.
Right.
But yeah, the email list by far is the most valuable part of my business now, for sure. And after doing so much for so many clients, and I still do, I write a lot of emails like every week for clients. I should have like focused on my own a long time ago. Oh, so yeah, I
It's very
100%, a
powerful.
million percent agree with you on that. Right? No matter how, I was explaining to someone the other day. I said, um, um, email is the only marketing channel that any of us have, like not sales, but marketing channel, where the reader can and does trick themselves into thinking that you sent it just to them. Nobody thinks that what's on a billboard is just for them, or a TV commercial. It might match them, right?
Right.
Or search results. It
Right.
might match exactly what they're looking for, but they don't ever get to pretend that it's just, a communication between the
Right.
writer and the recipient.
Right. And it's funny because obviously I'm on your email list. These automations that we use today, 3 years ago, that was state of the art.
Yeah.
Today, everybody could be using this.
Yep. Yep. I directly judge how successful that week's email is by how many people reply to me, good or bad. right? If a lot of people reply, then it's like, okay, yep, that's a good topic. I'll have to like revisit that one at some point and double down on it. So use your email list, build your email list, use your email list. Also, it's way more important who's on your list than how many are on your list.
That's true. That's very
Way more
true.
important. I'm not looking to buy a big list. I don't need the biggest list. I need the right list. That's all I need.
Right.
All
Well,
right.
when you build an email list of people who are already clients and customers,
Yeah.
people have already spent money. That's your gold.
Yep.
That's valuable.
Yeah. Okay. So, Danny, who should be contacting you these days, and how would you want them to get to you?
Well, the best way to get me would be to email me at danny@stratify.com.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, by the way,
who's
for now that we do this on audio as well, Stratify is STRATOPHI.com.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
For the people just listening and don't have a screen.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Um,
They should email you directly and say, Danny, take my money. Take my money now.
Well, really, the truth is, we might just not do that because, first of all, we might not be able to. We do have a waiting list, but there's more than one way for us to help people. So as far as the fractional aspect, chief marketing officer,
Sure.
I'm really looking for companies that are poised and ready for growth.
What size are they usually? Like you mentioned, like law firms
they're all
and medical.
small to mid-size companies. Yeah. We do a lot of work with smaller law firms. 10 and under.
Right.
We don't really have any clients that have hundreds of attorneys. And the same thing with medical practices. It's usually a doc who has a couple of different offices type of thing, or home services. Home services are great businesses for us because our whole model is about creating local market leaders. So what we do is we take companies who are in a local service area, and we have formulas and systems in place that we know how to find out exactly why the local market leaders are the local market leaders, and we know how to position our clients as local market leaders. And there's significant advantages of that. Sales cycles go way down. You don't have to sell yourself. You don't have to build the credibility. When you're out there and people are seeing you, you have buzz. And that's the most important thing. When people come to you and they're excited to speak to you, you have instant credibility. Your profit margins are higher. And like you said, you can turn away the difficult clients. You don't have to take the people who are going to just make things crazy. Does that make sense? Did that answer the question?
Yes, sir. I think. Well, there's no wrong way to answer the question because it's who do you want to contact you? So that would work great. All right. I really like the ones where I get to ask like the crazy questions. And so because we only have a single guest. So thanks so much, Danny. I really appreciate you being here, man. This is great. I learned a lot.
Thanks
wait, I'm
appreciate
sorry to interrupt you. I want to mention something. There were two terms that came up and that were normally a jargon-free zone. And so, because most of the audience for this podcast, and if you're watching this, like most of the audience for this podcast are not marketers, right?
Okay.
They tend to be founders, CEOs, and heads of sales are the single biggest audience.
Makes
for this
sense.
podcast. Yeah, I
Makes
guess.
sense.
And so you mentioned when we were talking about Facebook, we're talking about SMMA, and when we're talking about like local marketing generally, you talked about MatPack. So explain for the audience those two terms.
Social media marketing agency.
Okay.
So
basically anyone that does paid social for you.
Yeah. I mean, paid social is an important part, but it's just it's just a small part of things. And it was much more important years ago than it is now. Now it should just be part of something that everybody is doing, but that goes back to the massive drop. So when you're on social, you should be getting your message out across a lot of platforms, and then using the automations. to trigger so
Right.
that you can take your posts and you can actually turn them into leads, fill your funnel with it, and move them through the different states and get conversions out of your efforts. And what was the other question? That was the
We talked
SMMA
about the
piece.
local marketing, the abbreviation, the
Local
map pack.
market. Oh, the map pack. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's gone through a couple of different incarnations. It's basically Google's local rank system.
Okay.
So today it's called a business profile, local business profile. And basically it's the top 3 search results that will come up locally as a result of SERP. Incredibly powerful place to be. It's not uncommon to go into a minor metro area and search something like dentist or attorney or roofer
Right.
or plumber and have 20 or 30 pages of responses come. And then on page 1, which is normally the first 10 to 20, depending upon the market, 93% of the business is going to go to that page, and the
Mm-hmm.
majority is going to go to the page in the top 3. So anybody in the top of the map pack
Right.
completely understands the value of marketing and being there. So somebody on page 10 probably thinks that spending money on marketing is a waste of
Yeah.
time. And that's probably because they've had some bad experiences, but they're underestimating how much of a difference there is from being one of hundreds who are competing for 7% of the total traffic online as compared to the guys in the top 3 who are just raking it in, and they are the local market leaders.
Right.
So it's just incredibly valuable real estate. And
I don't know if you.
interestingly enough, with the algorithms that came into place, guys who had dominated the map pack for years have been wiped off all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely a changing of the guard.
What you were talking about reminded me of that meme. I'm sure it's made up. It just looked like a typical generic uh, door and like business in any strip mall in America, where it has like the large like lit sign over it and like painted on. And it was someone. I hope this was made up, but if it wasn't, it's genius. The name of the business was Dentist Near Me.
That's great. That's great.
If that wasn't made up, someone really understood the assignment. Because of course you're going to get top ranking or high ranking if someone searches for dentist near me and you're called dentist near me. That's fantastic. So
Well, it's funny because we dig into competitive sites all the time, right? When we're working with clients, and we find that all the time. When you're looking for a attorney in Chicago near me,
yeah,
it's right in the copy.
yeah. I think I need to go look up the domain copywriter near me and see if anyone owns it. Okay, Danny. Thanks, man. I really appreciate you being here.
Dean,
Oh,
great
this
being
is
with
fun.
you.
All right, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you in the next time. You're probably watching this on a clip, and if so, like there are tons more. So like poke around, we've got a whole binge bank made up, so you can just go to town on it. All right, talk to you later. Thanks, Daddy.
Take care,
Bye.
Dean. Bye-bye.
Wow, that's a first.